In a moment, you will hear from Director Louis Freeh about the arrest of Jim Nicholson, a 16-year career CIA Directorate of Operations employee on charges of committing espionage for Russia. I have two important messages. First, the arrest makes clear that we must continue to place priority on counterintelligence in the CIA and the rest of the intelligence community. We must remain vigilant to the penetration of U.S. national security organizations by Russia and other hostile intelligence services. Second, this arrest demonstrates that the counterintelligence reforms that have been put into place in the wake of Aldrich Ames have taken hold and that have led to our success in catching the spy Nicholson. The investigation that led to this arrest was a joint FBI-CIA effort from its inception. Every bit of information and analysis was shared. Every step in the investigation was understood by both agencies and fully coordinated. Not a stitch was dropped because of the outstanding people from both the FBI and CIA who worked so closely together. The important post-Ames counterintelligence reforms that have been put into place include putting an outstanding FBI agent in charge of our counter-espionage group in CIA's Counterintelligence Center, creating an Associate Deputy Director for Operations for Counterintelligence in the CIA, which brings continuing high-level attention to counterintelligence, improving our training and cooperation between CIA's Counterintelligence Center and the Office of Personnel Security. Let me for a moment explain how this case differs from that of Ames. There are several key differences. Ames' behavior gave clear signs of his problems and vulnerabilities. Nicholson's did not. It took a long time to catch Ames. Here, it took a much shorter time. In the Ames case, the cooperation between the CIA and FBI was not great. Here, there has been complete cooperation and information exchange from the beginning. In the Ames case, we did not keep Congress informed. In this case, we did. In the Ames case, investigative methods had to be invented to narrow the list of suspects. In this case, we had the investigative tools and used them promptly. I want to express my personal thanks and the thanks of the CIA to Director Freeh and his outstanding professionals for the work that they have done in this case. Our working together is a major change from the past and essential to the nation's counterintelligence effort. Finally, let me say that there is only one thing worse than catching a spy that has penetrated one's intelligence service, and that is not catching the spy. Thank you very much.
The arrest of Mr. Nicholson is significant for two obvious reasons. First, it makes clear that foreign intelligence services continue to threaten our nation. Second, as John very aptly points out, it demonstrates the unprecedented level of cooperation between the CIA and the FBI, of which we are very proud today. Mr. Nicholson was apprehended as a result of reforms instituted in the aftermath of the Ames case. Under the leadership of John Deutch, CIA Director, and his able staff, there has been an exchange of high-level personnel between the agencies, as we've already noted. Those officials, among other things, designed the means to determine whether there were other penetrations of security agencies in the United States, including the CIA. Their analytical efforts led to today's arrest. The most formidable weapon that we have to prevent this kind of crime against the United States is the partnership, the successful and close partnership between the counterintelligence agency here in the FBI and the CIA. And that is a partnership which has proved its worth in this case. Let me finally just compliment the men and women of the CIA for the outstanding work that they performed in this case. As the director just stated, every facet of this analysis and investigation was part of a partnership between CIA officers and FBI agents. Every decision, every analysis, every operational decision was taken in conjunction with each other, which is why it was so spectacularly successful in my view. And I want to compliment all the fine men and women of the CIA who, as also part of their oath, bear true faith and allegiance to the United States, and whose skill and loyalty and competence made this case and made this arrest possible today.
To the identities of agents, doesn't this raise questions about the counterintelligence capability at CIA in the sense that he was only uncovered when he failed a polygraph test, not as a result of efforts to track down agents? And do you suspect that there may be other agents still operating within the CIA?
Well, Bill, there are a lot of questions there. Let me take them one at a time. First of all, I think that generally speaking, the Central Intelligence Agency is composed of absolutely dedicated and effective intelligence case officers, and that this is an anomaly. This, just as Ames was an anomaly to an otherwise very effective and brave workforce. I will remind you that over the last 20 years, we've had about 70 espionage cases in this country. So we cannot expect that any single individual case will be the last that we encounter. It all goes to show the importance of a very, very strong counterintelligence effort. And the story here to me today is not that there was another spy. That we have to anticipate given the frailty of human nature, but rather that the CIA and the FBI have together built a very formidable counterintelligence capability that captured this person, identified and uncovered him much more rapidly than existed in the case of Ames, and have brought him to justice. So the story here is that we have a successful post-Ames counterintelligence effort, which is in a position to defend the country from any foreign intelligence service that targets our national security apparatus. When you are responsible for a intelligence service, you must continually worry about counterintelligence. It's a message that we bring to every officer that we have in every part of our operation. So the answer to your question is, from the moment that I became director, I have been worried about targeting of the CIA by hostile foreign intelligence services. That is part of the business of running an intelligence service. So the answer to your question is, from the outset and probably before, I felt that counterintelligence was an important priority, especially after Ames.
Do you see any downside to these post-Ames reforms that you referred to? For example, one of your employees said, I'm getting out of the agency because it's just a lousy place to work these days, but nobody trusts anybody. You can't talk to anyone. You're always having to sign documents. Do you see that there's either a morale problem or other downsides from these reforms?
Let me say that the morale in the agency was not terrific today because of the announcement of this arrest. But the morale in the agency and the Directorate of Operations, from the youngest officer to the most senior officer, is significantly better than it was after Ames. I think all of the Directorate of Operations, regardless at what rank, understand that greater discipline was necessary after the revelations of Ames. So I would say to you that while the morale is not great today, the agency and its professionals are embarrassed and angry that one of their own would have betrayed this country. Most of them are extremely dedicated and sophisticated, intelligent individuals, and that they knew after Ames that these kinds of changes had to be made in tradecraft. They've done it, especially in this counterintelligence area. And so I think there's room here, when the pain subsides, for some pride on how the counterintelligence story went here.